Thanks very much to Brain. Thanks to Akira, urgent care. Henley goes long inside for Dick Galena.
Oh!
Jared Dalton! Soon! Wow! He flew like you would not believe on the siren! Jared Dalton takes one of the best marks you will ever see.
There's a grand final in our midst, and you'll find out all about it and a whole lot more on EFL TV for Ferntree, Gully, Holden and HSV, your local community dealer. A very exciting week for EFL fans and particularly players in Division 2 as we get ready for grand final week. The man to talk us through all the action is the EFL's media manager, Benny Waterworth. Benny, welcome back.
Thanks, good to see you too, Half. Divi 2 grand final week this week. 2 weeks down, 3 to go in the finals series, but we really start to ramp up now with a big game on Saturday.
It's going to be a beauty. Montrose v Roval. It's at Jubilee Park in Ringwood. So the big deck out there at Ringwood. We know Montrose have had a very, very big year. Easy passage through to the grand final. What does it mean this week?
Well, Dan Senchik actually went out to Montrose Recreation Reserve and caught up with coach Brett Johnson and asked him some questions around that. Here's what Brett had to say.
Welcome to EFL TV and welcome to Montrose Football Club, where we're with a very excited man ahead of this week's Division 2 Choose Tap Grand Final. Brett, welcome to EFL TV.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Very exciting game coming up this weekend, and of course Roval and Mooroolbark have figured well in Division 2 this season. Obviously Roval beat you twice during the season, but in the first final you got revenge. Is there anything going to be different tried this weekend?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think most of the work's been done throughout the year, so I think the same will be for Roval. It's just a matter of going out and doing your best and trying to execute the game plan as best you can.
In the first final, was there anything sort of different tried to the last couple of times? I mean, did the boys learn from the previous 2 losses during the year?
Yeah, I think we did. I mean, like I said, it's all about execution of the game plan and playing the way we want to play. Obviously, Roval are very good opposition, so we have to be on top of our game. And yeah, this Saturdays I think it's going to be last man standing sort of stuff.
They've got a lot of good players in their side, young and old players as well. Who do you see as their X factor this weekend?
Oh, I don't think there's anyone in particular. I think they're really even across the board, and that's their real strength. They've got a number of good players. I mean, you know, Garners and Davies and Scanlons and McEwens and Frawley's. They've got a number of good players, so right across the board we've got to be on our game.
It is only Tuesday, and what's the week going to hold for the Montrose Footy Club? Obviously it's a long week, it's grand final week, there's a lot of excitement. Have you had to sit the boys down and calm them down a bit?
No, not at all. It was good to have the weekend off. You know, we just try to keep everything as normal as we can. Training's been really good. I've been really happy with the way the guys are prepared. You know, we're building into it slowly, and I think come Saturday we'll be ready.
How's training been so far this season? I mean, finals were a lock for a long time. Were you able to alter the training loads of any individuals in the scene?
Yeah, I think it's just a case-by-case scenario with certain individuals. We've got a good blend of youth and also experience, so it's just tailoring training to suit those individuals. But I think from day one, when I first arrived at the club, the attitude of the guys have been fantastic, and that hasn't changed throughout the year.
One man who's figured prominently in the final series so far for Montrose has been Billy Schilling. Now, he's had a fantastic year. He's kicked over 70 goals. You're hoping he can reproduce that footy this weekend? Yeah,
Billy's obviously an important player for us. I'm really proud of the way Billy's approached his footy. You know, he rocked up the pre-season. He dropped 10 kilo, and you know, his work ethic and training standards are phenomenal. So I'm really proud of the way he's gone about it all year, and I hope he does well on the weekend.
How's the team at this stage of the year? Are there any injury concerns or a few sore bodies? I mean, it's been a long season.
I think there's always sore bodies this time of year. We had a couple of guys pull up pretty sore from last game, but yeah, I mean, the week off helped, and hopefully they'll be all right to go come Saturday.
Your expectations at the start of the season, you're playing off in a grand final this weekend, but was that ever part of the expectations of the bigger picture?
Look, it was hard to say. I mean, when I rocked up, I didn't know a lot about the group. I understand they played in the grand final last year, but you know, it's a new year, and wasn't too sure what to expect. And like I said, the attitude of the guys have been great. And we got a new team from last year. A whole bunch of new guys have come into the side, so it's a different blend. We're doing things differently, and yeah, we're really happy to be where we are.
And how much confidence did the boys take out of the match 2 weeks ago?
Look, yeah, I mean, it was good to win, but we quickly focused on what's next. You know, Roval have been the benchmark side all year, having only lost a couple of games. So, you know, we've got our work cut out, mate. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Have Montrose FC shown all their cards this season so far?
No, I hope not. I mean, again, it's all about executing your game style on the day. We think we've got, a number of different variations with what we're trying to do. So again, it's just everyone playing their part, and I think if we do that, we'll give a good account of ourselves.
Brett Johnson, thank you very much for joining us on EFL TV.
And man, Dan on the spot once again there, Benny. He actually is my man.
Yes.
He is my man, Dan. I like him. A lot. It's also the 98.1 Radio Eastern game of the round as expected for a grand final.
Of course, most definitely. 1 till 6 p.m. on 98.1 FM and, of course, streaming on efl.org.au. Caravan of Courage will be out there. So make sure you get your radio dial, tune in 98.1. I think Montrose, after their win a fortnight ago against Roval, I think they might have just that little bit of a mental edge. Yes, Roval very impressive last weekend, but Billy Schilling up forward. Everyone's tipping him for the Blue Ribbon medal on Saturday. I think he'll kick a bag, and I think Montrose will get back up into Division 1.
Wowee, Montrose to Division 1, says the media manager, Benny Waterworth. He knows stuff, so that will happen. That will happen, trust me. That's the Divi 2 grand final. Very exciting week. Good luck to both teams in the grand final this weekend. Divi 1, the Choose Tap final series continues. We've got the second semi on Saturday. Norwood, the ladder leaders come the end of the home and away season, taking on the resurgent Vermont Eagles. Chris Barlow's just got these boys humming at the right time.
Your man, Chris Barlow, his team played a very, very impressive game last week against Scoresby. Made the Pies look very second rate. Not a lot of people were expecting that.
Wow.
Fantastic effort by the Eagles, and they did it more impressively without Heath Black and without Ryan Mullett as well. So it just makes the Vermont win seem even more impressive. They come up against the Norwood side, who not a lot of people are convinced about at the moment, and it's probably because they've never been there and done it before. I think it's purely the reason. And Vermont, well, they've won 19 EFL Division 1 flags and something like 37 final series they've been a part of, so they know how to get the job done. Well, I'm going for Vermont purely because it's at Bayswater. They know how to play that ground. Norwood haven't played there for a long, long time. I get the feeling that the Eagles, that experience might get them over the line, but I would love for Norwood to prove me wrong.
The best defence in the competition, Norwood? You're giving them no chance.
No chance. I think they've been the best defence at their home ground. They've created... Mullum Reserve has been a bit of a fortress for the Norsemen throughout 2012. So on a bigger ground, on the wide open spaces, on a ground that Vermont know very, very well I think the Eagles might be able to do it.
Okay, Vermont to go through to the Choose Tap Grand Final in Division 1. Division 3 this week, we've got the prelim, and we've got Glen Waverley taking on Baroni. This is going to be a beauty. North Ringwood are through to the Grand Final, but this one should be a corker.
Hawk off 4 half, and unfortunately for the Baronia Hawks, they've lost all 3 games against Glen Waverley. So Mick Gold's men certainly have the measure over Baronia at the moment. And you look at it, though, at the moment, Glen Waverley haven't been too convincing in the first 2 weeks of the finals. Of course, these two teams played a fortnight ago. Glen Waverley only won by 7 points. Baroni actually had more scoring shots that day. If they'd taken their chances with the breeze, they could very well have been playing against North Ringwood last weekend. The two teams come together now. Baronia every chance. Very impressive against Ringwood last weekend. My man Jason Heath with 7 goals last weekend. Very, very impressive. He's a destructive player. I just get the feeling the Glen Waverley Hawks, they were a little bit undisciplined last week, talking to Coach Mick Call during the week.
Okay.
I think they'll bounce back from that. Glen Waverley to get through to a grand final against North Ringwood. A great story coming up from Division 4 last year into a Division 3 grand final this year.
Regardless, the Hawks will win, and that's a good thing for all people associated with anything Hawk, and that's a great result. Good luck to both teams in that game this weekend. Righto, Benny, we might have a spell, come back and talk through a few more games a little bit later on. Guests coming up on EFL TV.
The middle, and it's a beautiful kick in front of Ellis.
Go the whole way.
Give it to Andrew Ellis. Long kick from 55 metres, out for goal! Andrew Ellis puts through his second, and it is party time for the Vermont Football Club.
All right, as we're into the final series, the EFL Choose Tap final series, probably a good time to check in with the EFL's head of umpiring, Michael Vozzo, who joins us on EFL TV. Voz, g'day.
How you going, Half?
Going very well, thanks. And being finals time, I thought we'd get an assessment from the umpire's point of view, and maybe just talk about a few of the misconceptions and presumptions of umpires in finals. Do you umpire differently in finals? I'll ask you that first up.
Not really. I mean, we still see a free kick, we'll pay it, and but I think what we tend to forget is that players who play in finals are generally the better skilled players and better skilled teams, and that's why they're there. So I actually always found umpiring in finals just that little bit easier, actually.
Right, okay. And so there's no truth to the rumour that you put the whistle away and just let them play and sort it out amongst themselves?
No, there's too much riding on games in finals. I mean, you as a player and as a coach would know that, especially early in the game, you're probably more than happy to give away a free kick here or there, but especially late in the game, the results may, may hinge on a free kick here or there. So generally speaking, when it gets late in the game, players tend to play the footy and play the footy only, and don't want to give away a free kick because a result could hinge on a free kick here or there. So yeah.
You mentioned that the better players obviously play in final series, or the better teams play in final series, and that makes it a little bit easy. But do the tactics of some coaches in finals, because there's so much on the line that they'll try a few things, do they actually make it harder sometimes to officiate?
Oh, no doubt. Look, on the weekend in particular, the Balwyn and Noble Park game, very scrappy type game. Only 8 goals had been scored in the first 3 quarters. At one stage there I counted at least 30 players around the footy. It was very difficult for the umpires to pick up any free kicks. Probably a couple here and there missed. But then in the last quarter, when the result was on the line, they opened it up and suddenly 13 goals were scored in the last quarter. So, sometimes the coaches can have a bit of a bearing on the actual way the game's played and therefore how it's umpired.
When you've got that congestion around the footy, you've got like 30 players around the footy, is there sometimes a want to just play something that may be the minor side of things, but just to open the game up?
Oh, look, sometimes, yeah, there's no doubt, because it makes it so much difficult when there's so many players around the ball. But obviously, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be paying what you see and the major warranted free kicks, and that's been our emphasis all years, just to pay the major free kicks, all head highs, and protect the guys in underneath the packs, the ball player. Yeah.
When there are bodies around the footy, sometimes the juices get overflowing and we have some melees. How's that been officiated during the final series?
So far, we've only had probably a couple, but the clubs are very mindful and the league's very serious that on increasing melee fines throughout the final series, and I think the clubs know that, and we've handed out, or the league's handed out, some significant fines in the past couple of weeks to a couple of clubs that have who have got involved in melee. So we hope to think that, or we'd like to think that the clubs are pretty serious on making sure that won't happen.
And what about from your point of view? It's your first year with the Eastern Footy League. Are you happy with the development of the umpires through the year? And have you got the right core group of umpires umpiring the final series all through the divisions?
Oh, look, we think we have. We think we've got a very good balance. I mean, we did lose 8 of the top 12 from last year who retired, went up to the VFL and all that. So we've had to obviously fill that void. But we think that a couple of our younger umpires have really stepped up, and it's sort of filtered right all the way through, and we've got a couple young 16, 17-year-olds who are coming through, so we look forward to seing them hopefully in the thick of the finals action. You haven't thought about bringing back the whistle and just getting involved yourself? I'm very happy just watching. Well, you're doing a very good job from all reports. The people I talk to in the Eastern Footy League are very happy with the standard of umpiring, so if that's because of you, then you're doing a great job, and long may it continue. Appreciate your time, Voz. Thanks, Hal. Nice to chat to you. Michael Vozzo, the EFL's head of umpiring on EFL TV.
He's up towards the half-forward line. The ball's just got to sit up for Mendes, who Pete just spoke about. The kick inside forward 50. Out of nowhere, he's just run onto the ground and he's got a bit of extra spring in his step.
The main man's back to get through the rest of the on-field action this week, and we go back to Divi 1, the first semi-final between Scoresby and Balwyn. Scoresby, heavy favourites to be the premiership flag holders at the season's end, early into the finals campaign. Lost to last week to Vermont, as you say, and the mighty Balwyn Tigers did a number on the Noble Park Bulls last week. Your MBTs were in sensational form last week, and apparently quite an emotional victory as well, because it had been 12 months since Shawnee Bergen suffered that pretty horrendous accident on the field. So they were really up and about for that game. I was talking to a few of the guys during the week. Rennie Gilchrist in particular said the guys just went in with a nothing to lose kind of attitude against Noble Park, and were able to get the chocolates in the end with a 9-4 last quarter. So great effort by the Balwyn side. Scoresby, as you said, many people had high hopes for them coming into the final series, but they let a lot of people down last weekend. A lot of players down on their usual outpick. Guys like Adam Parker and David Marcius were really quiet. Yep. So a lot of upside, I suppose, in that sense for Scoresby. Those kind of players can lift. Balwyn will go in with a nothing-to-lose attitude once again coming into this game. But Scoresby, the past couple of years, dropped their first final, have been able to come back and win. I think they'll be able to do that for the 3rd consecutive year. Balwyn will put up a really good shot. I think this will probably be the closest game of the weekend. But Scoresby to get over the line in what should be a great contest. All right, it's also the 98.1 game of the day, I believe. Toot, get out there. 2 to 5 p.m. on EFL.org.au and 2 to 6 p.m. on 98.1 FM. So it should be a great call. Should be great coverage of a great game. Divi 4, the Tuesday prelim final. We've got South Belgrave taking on Sylvan. Now, this poses a few quirky little stories, I reckon, this game. And you've got a man out there again.
Yes, your man.
My man.
Your man, DC, was out, travelled all the way up the mountain, took his earplugs to Sylvan and had a chat with Sylvan coach Chris Goodlett. Here's how it all panned out.
Yes, we've headed up the mountain to catch up with coach Chris Goodlett of the Sylvan Football Club ahead of a very important clash this weekend against South Belgrave. Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
Very important clash this weekend against South Belgrave. There's no doubt about it. They've been one of the best teams in the competition so far this season. How do you see it panning out?
Yeah, I mean, them and the Basin have been there's two standout clubs. We've been in third spot most of the year, so a bit off the pace. And obviously 2 weeks ago when we played them, we were fair way off the pace, but the double chance, and we had a good performance on the weekend against Ferntree Gully, and we're hoping to carry that into South Belgrave. So.
It's been a pretty successful year so far for Sylvan on the field. I mean, Peter Bairds tweeted through the week that Sylvan have outlasted Noble Park of all clubs in the Eastern Football League this year. Pretty big achievement.
Yeah, it's been really good. The club, as you would have seen just driving up here, it's only a small community up here, and the numbers that we get to the footy club with the reserves and under-19s and the seniors, it's been really good, and the support that the community, the committee and that have for us is really good. So yeah, to compare with Noble Park is a good thing, I suppose.
Sylvan are a relatively new club in the Eastern Football League, there's no doubt about it. And at the start of the season, what were your expectations coming in compared to where the team's now? I mean, they're playing off for a spot in the Tuesday Grand Final this weekend.
Yep, in the prelim. Sorry. Yeah, obviously last year was our first year in. We had a lot of injuries last year, and obviously coming in didn't know a lot about the opposition, and ended up finishing second bottom with 3 wins. And this year we recruited, we looked at areas where we needed to improve on, and we covered a lot of those areas. We've been pretty good with our management of injuries, and our ambition at the start of the year was to play finals, and we got to there, and now we're in a preliminary final, and we'll take it this weekend and see how it goes, but we're pretty happy with what we've achieved so far with the group.
Where do you see bridging the gap between the Basin and South Belgrave? As we mentioned, they're probably the two best sides in the competition this season. Where do you see your team improving to bridge the gap between South Belgrave?
It's probably just more consistency. I think in the first time we played them in the semi-final, we were very up and down, which as we've been all year with form, and I think that comes with a lot of our younger guys. But on the weekend, they were consistent all through and very disciplined with the way they played, and that's probably a thing we've got to focus on this week.
You get asked a lot about Ashford and Dan Toohey a lot, but they're absolutely fantastic goal kickers. So, South Belgrave have got a lot of good goal kickers on their side as well. Can we expect a shootout this weekend?
I would love to. I think when we played them last time in the home and away season, I think Ash kicked 9 there, so he didn't kick one in the final a couple of weeks ago and was really disappointed on himself, but I'm expecting him to come out and try and redeem himself, and he likes the big stage, so I'm sure he's going to try and put on a show if he can.
And who are the most dangerous South Belgrave players going around this weekend?
Obviously their main their players in their forwards with Bacons and Appleby, and they got Dustin Apps and Brad Condor in the middle. Their backline's very strong, pretty much across the board. They're a really even well experienced team. We rate all their players pretty highly, and we try and set roles for our guys to do the best that they can do to try and nullify their influence on the game. So.
Chris Goodlett versus Nick Cox, assuming you both line up for your respective clubs this weekend, should be interesting.
Yeah, I think we've played against each other a few times now, and that usually at the moment we've been up the other end of the ground from each other, but we never know, we might find ourselves on each other on the weekend, which is always he likes to have a chat, and that, so it should be interesting.
Well, all the best of this weekend, Chris Goodlett. Thanks for joining us, very much appreciated.
No worries, thank you.
Righto, Benny. So that's going to be interesting after all that information from our man DC. Who's going to win?
Sylvan have nothing to lose. Like a lot of teams going into the finals, as I said just beforehand.
Well, they've got a premiership to lose.
This is true, but I think no matter which way you look at it, Sylvan can give themselves a big fat tick this year because they finished second last in 2011, finishing third this year, and to win a final is a pretty darn good effort, especially after they lost to South Belgrave by so much in that first final. The Saints are a much better team. I think they'll bounce back. They've got too many winners across the board. Sylvan have put up a good show, much better than what they did in the first week of the finals, but South Belgrave Belgrave to simply can't afford to lose this one. Should be South Belgrave in the Basin in the Divi 4 two-step grand final.
Okay, bad luck to Sylvan. You might as well not show up, according to Ben Waterworth from the EFL media team. It's going to be a great weekend of footy, mate. The Divi 2 grand final, obviously the highlight for the EFL Choose-Tap final series. Have a great weekend.
You have a better one, Half?
I'll do my very, very best. And you too out there, enjoy all the action. We'll see you next week on EFL TV.
Shot goes up about 20 metres out. Henley Carmody over the back of the pack. Snap around the body. That was a good shot by Adrian Galeno. He's worked it back magnificently. That is a goal. And on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard, it's the first one of the third term.